Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Godzilla podcast episode. And I have another special guest here tonight. It is my beloved girlfriend, Krisvari99. How you doing,
Hi,
babe?
I'm doing good.
Yep. This is your first time being on my show, and you are the first woman who be in my podcast.
Yep.
Yep. And I'm very excited to have you on here, babe. And
Mm.
and are you nervous?
Yeah, I'm nervous.
Yeah. So today we'll be talking about the All Monsters Attack from 1969 that fans considered to be the worst Godzilla film ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I remember watching this way back then. I mean, it's like I remember how I discovered this film is that's when I got the earlier classic media DVD release that I got on my is I think it was on my 7th or 8th birthday. I can't remember it was, but I got this film with the classic DVD classic media box set, and when I got it on my birthday. And I remember when I watched this film for the first time, and I remember watching it so many times, like right after I got home from school in elementary.
Mm.
And I remember I used to like that film a lot, but now I'm not watching it as much now. And and I bet and babe, you remember how you discovered this film, right?
Yeah, I liked it because I like the kids. I just like the little kid because he imagined the Master Island and stuff. Like he has a good imagination. And
Yeah, Ichiro, or
yes.
I hope I'm saying his name right. Ichiro
Yeah.
or Chiro or
Yeah.
I don't know.
It might be Inchiro, I think.
Yeah, I remember in the English dub version they call him Chiro or yeah, I think that's what they said in the English dub.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, and like, so let's talk about the history of the film. So yeah, right after Destroy All Monsters was released, that Toho thought it wouldn't make any more Godzilla films because they were low on money. Uh,
Mm.
but then right after they made this film, I mean, they thought, okay, maybe there is a few money left, and they. But the original idea before All Monsters Attack, they were gonna have Destroy All Monsters, a Godzilla cartoon series that I think it was like based off Destroy All Monsters. I hope I'm not mixing up my words.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of scenes in that movie, and as I was watching the history video, they were talking about some of those scenes are the same scenes to different movies, and that's why people don't like it because they're just like, oh, we watched these scenes already, and they just don't want to see it again.
Oh yeah, because they use all stock footage from their previous films, and as I remember, when I watched this film for the first time, way before I watched the other ones. I mean, I when I watched Godzilla fight with the like Kumonga and Kamakuras and Ebra, I mean, yeah, I thought that Godzilla looks different in each scene. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
when I first watched this film, I mean, like it's like how is Godzilla different? He keeps changing it. It looks different in each scene. But no, they actually use stock footage from their previous films because the reason why because they were low on money and and they just you know couldn't make money to Godzilla fight with some new scenes.
Yeah, and also the beginning, there's two different versions we know, English, Japanese, like that song they were talking about. Like it's not in the English
Oh
version.
yeah, oh yeah, the Monster March and the Monster March song is like some children singing, and it was only in the original Japanese cut, and but in the English dub version, they use some old classic music from I don't know if this is this actually a real music song or they that they use in well, in real life that from something, but I don't know.
Yeah. And there was those bullies that bullied that kid, and he didn't like getting bullied and stuff. It just hurt him.
Oh yeah, the kid named Gabara.
Yeah. Like we all been dealing with bullies before. Like in middle school. Like everyone has done with bullies.
Oh
And
yeah, that took. Don't remind me, babe, because that kind of takes me back to my middle school years. Looks like we
yeah.
have another. Looks like we have a guest on here, and oh, there's Kaiju brother.
Hi Nick. Hi.
Yeah, hey buddy. According to Kaiju profile of a giant octopus on Winkizilla, is that that a giant octopus was originally going to be an all monsters attack, but it didn't happen due to due of budget costs. Yeah, I think you talk. So Nick, you were talking about the scene that yeah that Godzilla was gonna fight a giant octopus in is it for the Ebra scene, but they just they decided to use stock footage from Ebra Horror of the Deep.
Mm-hmm.
At least I got to see that fight again.
Yep.
Well, this was way before I discovered Ebra Horror of the Deep. So yeah, I was like, so it so each trio and because that his, that his family live in a world that's full of pollution and
Mm-hmm.
some factories, and that I like his family works all the time. I mean, his dad works on a train, and then his mom was just to work at someplace I forgot what it is,
Yeah,
and
I don't know.
yeah, I because they were never at they were never with him a lot, especially at home, because I think his Ichiro's family was poor, and they
Yeah.
need the money. And but luckily he has his fellow neighbor with him who is also a toy maker, Mr. Yanami. I think that's what his name is in that one.
Yeah, I think it is actually. And people say, yes, he was in different movies. He felt so awkward playing that character because usually he's a villain in different movies.
Yeah, because he he was in King Kong Escapes as a villain named Doctor Who, and he was he was also in a small scene for a few seconds in Eberol Horror of the Deep as the as the ship captain who brought the natives back to the island in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he was also in. We all know he was in like Gaza, Monster, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack as that weird old man. It, mm, it's well, Nick always he was always on here to tell us about the history of the film, and yep, what else are you saying? All Monsters Attack was part of Toho campaign festival for tours for of children that is start with All Monsters Attack to Terror of Mechagodzilla, and also feature Edda's older Toho films work.
Oh.
Yep, yep, that's true. I think they Toho decided to release these new Godzilla films in each year at a festival like after it was made. So yeah, and so babe, so what else did you like about All Monsters Attack? Like,
Well, I
do you?
like the Godzilla's son, you know, because there's two different voices, the English and the Japanese. I like the
Oh,
English one. It's so cute.
oh yeah, the the oh yeah, that one. Like Godzilla says, I should learn to fight my own battles now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that voice it kind of reminds me of a cross between like that Disney character Goofy and a cross between like Patrick Star from SpongeBob.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I also like two versions of the voice. Is like I like the original Japanese voice too because the original Japanese voice was played by a woman. She also played one of the Keylok peoples in Destroy All Monsters. And so yeah, I mean, and also Minya can change sizes.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Yeah, like I mean, this is all happened in Ichio's dream.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, what I also like about is his friendly neighbor and Mr. Yami, like who's a toy inventor. I mean, this kind of gives a little Geppetto moment, kind of like from Pinocchio.
Mhm.
Yep, yeah, this is kind of like that moment. And I what I also like the part when Ichio has this little invention he made. He tells this like mini computer to take him to Monster Island, and he he thought he was already there. I mean, but it's all in his mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I thought it was so cool. I mean, I know this film was meant to be a kids film, but it's, so yeah, some some fans said it was meant to be because when I watched this film for the first time, I feel like I'm like Ichio is
Mm.
like kind of like when I like that I want to go on Monster Island. Like when I was a kid, like whatever time I go to bed at night. I mean, when I was a kid, I always tried to dream about going on Monster Island, seeing Godzilla and Minya.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what every kid's dream about. The same Nick Sassy. Originally, Gabara was going to be called Gibara, based on a mole cricket, a which was also considered for what, un, yeah, I couldn't pronounce
Mhm.
that word. I mean, because the megalon from Rodan and
Mhm.
well, sorry, I mean, I know there's a mega, but anyway, like, so yeah, like let's talk about Gabra itself, the main villain. So, what do you think of that monster?
He's kind of creepy. I mean, to be honest, just the looks of it.
Yeah, he looks like amazingly stupid looking. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of gives him more a little bit of a cartoonish looking.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, Gabra sometimes gives me the creeps when I was a kid. I mean, Gabra was actually it was actually like a bullfrog creature. That's what they say, and I mean, to me, it doesn't look that much as a bullfrog, kind of monster looking, but whatever what you think it is, and also Gabra can shock electricity, and yeah, Minya and Godzilla.
Yeah.
and his mocking laugh. His war. That was actually a mocking laugh sound effect, and that was kind of is actually uh, from one of the Ichio's kid friends who were like mocking him. That's what I heard.
Oh yeah, because they said it wasn't watching the video. It was like, oh.
Yeah, it's it's so yeah. Also Gabara was actually from another kaiju TV series that which name I forgot what it was. Yeah, but and they used the same Gabara suit for this TV series, and it kind of looks terrible looking. I think
Yeah.
it's starting to fall apart, and and also I that the Gabara suit was actually made from one of the old Godzilla suits.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and so let's talk about like why this film was bad and why they said it is the worst. I bet you already said it because they say it was because they was they because of the plot and because of the it all took place in the kid's dream and they all used stock footage from the previous films.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't mind about all the stock footage. Because this all took place in Ichirio's dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, at least we got to see those fights again. And for Eb- the Ebra fight, it, in your in Ebra Horde D, they actually show two fight scenes from the middle and the ending of the film. But in Almost Attack, they all put them together in one scene after Godzilla rises from the water with Ebra. Oh, oh, we have Gojira and 851 here.
Hi.
Yeah, well, well, he's gonna be in my show soon. And also like Gabro was appeared in Go Godman and Go Green Man show, and reuse, and yes, dependent on how long does Sue last. eh, in the entire it's okay you know, or start fall apart.
Oh.
And yeah, I gotta look back to those scenes of that. What else? Gabra needs to come back. Oh yeah. And also there in God in Godzilla's signature point. I hope I'm saying the title right. That Netflix series. There was a monster in that series that kind of looks similar to Gabara, but it has a different name.
Hmm.
I just I need to look back to that TV series.
Yeah. So, anyways, remember those two, guys who were robbers?
Oh, the bank robbers.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So they were they were in the beginning of the film. They when Ichio's dad and his work friend had discovered that the bank robbers stole 2 million yen. That they stole a car to trade in for money, and yeah, and then and all the police are starting looking for those robbers, but it turns out they were hiding in that old abandoned warehouse. It, yeah, and then we all learned that, and then Itrio just just trespassing inside, and one of the bank robbers just hide in the vault, and and then Ichiro just stole the driver's license that one of the robbers that fell out of their pocket through a hole in the wall. Is so I bet you told me before you liked the scene that in the ending when Ichiro is fighting back the bank robbers and he's hiding in the warehouse. This is kind of like a Home Alone moment.
Yes, it is. It's funny too, actually.
Yeah, except there weren't no booby traps and kind of like in Home
Yeah,
Alone.
I know.
Yeah, but I like the part when Ichiro used the newspapers to hide in that huge hole in the ground, and then and and then one of the bank robbers just fell in there and then hurt his ankle, and then when
Hmm.
the leader won, I mean, it's just we're not where he is, and he found him in a hole. He was like, "Oh, for crying out loud, get out of there!" That's what he said in the English dub. That moment and the bank robbers and the kid in the warehouse kind of gives a more like a Horace and Jasper moment from 101 Dalmatians. And Home Alone, eat your heart out. Ichiro is Rambo. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's yeah. So the scene is when Min. I also talk about this one scene that makes me laugh so hard when Gabber appears and Minya has to fight Gabber by changing sizes in the English dub. He's just I like the way he does this. Like yeah. Cracks me up every time. Yeah. Uh, it, it's, I mean, I think I like the English dub more than the original Japanese,
Yeah.
and I say that the English dub is said is the worst dubbing ever made.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done a better job. I mean, when they released this film in America in theaters, it was all brought to Henry Saperstein, who did the other who released the other Godzilla films in the U.S. cuts, like he did for Godzilla versus the Thing. That's the U.S. title for Mothra versus Godzilla, and he also released Monster Zero. That's the U.S. title for Invasion of Astro Monsters.
Mm.
So yeah, and he present this film in the U.S. And this title was actually like well first when they released this in the US they retitled it Godzilla's Revenge.
Mhm.
Yeah, and but it wasn't actually going to be the original title for the US version. It was originally going to be titled Ninja Son of Godzilla,
Yeah.
but then they had to change it to Godzilla's Revenge because they don't want to confuse people with Son of Godzilla, which has already been made. I mean, let's talk about that title, Godzilla's Revenge. I mean, I feel like the title does not make any sense. I mean, who, uh, who's Godzilla? Like, who's he get revenge on?
Yeah, like really, I don't understand that. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, this title doesn't. This title doesn't sound like it doesn't actually fit for the film, but I prefer to All Monsters Attack.
Mhm.
Yeah, I, I mean, I think it's because they Godzilla fine with all the monsters from the previous film, but they kind of use stock footage. I mean, I think that's why Henry Saperstein just changed the title, reused the title to Godzilla's Revenge.
Mhm.
So yeah, and so like, what else did you remember of the film that we watched?
So, remember that boy? He fell in the hole. Someone else was gonna save him, they said, but that didn't happen.
Oh, like yeah, I mean, after he ran away from Kamakuris and 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 he fell into a hole. It's like when he landed. I mean, it's just so looks like they show it in slow motion.
Yeah, I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, I mean, isn't he supposed to die after he fell on the hard ground with rocks? I mean, it all took place in a dream.
Yeah, I mean, a dream. I mean, doesn't mean it's real.
Yeah, and is yeah. I mean, when when Kamakuris was looking down the hole, it wasn't originally going to use Kamakuris for that part. They were originally going to have Rodan to have in this scene, but they decided to use Kamakuris instead because from uh, they reused the same thing from their previous film. And I also like the music in this film. What do you think of the music?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not really my type, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm talking about the whole music score, the background music, and the rest of the movie, not the U.S. music for the English dub version from the beginning.
Mm.
I mean, this music kind of reminds me of one of the old classic music backgrounds from a classic Disney films.
Oh.
Kind of reminds me a little bit.
Mm.
Yeah, Ichiro Honda was doing special effects director while yeah, Eiichi Tsuburaya was told by his doctor to step down his work of director of special effects alone. With Honda doing it was yeah Teresa
Uh,
Teresa Naka. I hope I have a hard time saying these
it's
Japanese
like
names.
shush, shush. Yeah, I can't say. I can't say it.
uh, yeah, and he kind of
Yeah.
agrees with you, Kristen. yeah, they, yeah. I mean, but I know Gochi Fin 98. I know his music, the Monster March. That's his type.
Yeah.
I know you don't like that, bro. So, what else you want it to? What else that you remember of watching this film? I mean,
I remember the painter. It was funny.
oh yeah, after Ichiro was fighting uh, Gabara in the ending because he showed them that he's not afraid anymore because he's changed and showed that he is brave now. And that's what is what kids should do. You should always face when you're afraid of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then for the bikes, for when Ichiro honked the horn at the painter and he fell down. I mean, I was like, what the heck? I mean, I don't know why he does that. I mean, I don't know that he's just showing his friends that he's not afraid anymore, or it's just the way he's becoming a bully, or something. I don't know. But that part doesn't make any sense. I think. I mean, let's ask the audience if you think that the scene where Ichiro honks the horn at the painter and he falls down and it has paint all over his face, and if you think that scene doesn't make any sense, let me know in the comments below.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also notice that in some scenes when Godzilla fights Kumonga, the giant spider I always hate. I mean, at least when when Godzilla fights Kumonga, and uh, you do notice there was like a rock, some yeah, there was a rock added to the front of the screen that covers up Minya when he was covering Reb in Son of Godzilla. Like, I bet you did not notice about that when you watched that.
Yeah, and then also a different scene when they recreated that one scene, Godzilla and his son. They also did that also.
Oh yeah, because after Godzilla fights with the jet plane, so they use stock footage for Ebro Horror of the Deep, and they actually reused that. Actually, eh, they actually reshot the film because they didn't want to use stock footage from Son of Godzilla. They just want to reshot that scene, and is because in and and that scene when Godzilla just shows a little bit more distant because in Son of Godzilla when Minya's practicing his atomic breath. I mean, Godzilla, you do notice Godzilla was a little closer to Minya in that scene in Son of Godzilla, but in All Monsters Attack, Godzilla's more distant with from Minya. And this time in that scene, they just blow their atomic breath on jets when they hit the ground. But in Son of Godzilla, they practice their atomic breath on the red water. And also, I forgot to mention, when Godzilla is about to fight the jet planes again, they use stock footage from Ebro Horror of the Deep. You you do notice that one scene they added highlights of trees on is in the foreground.
Mm.
I bet you like I was like this these cutouts of different items and backgrounds. I mean, they added to that scene. It just kind of looks terrible because of the cutouts, and they just
Yeah, I
added.
think it does.
Yeah, I mean, back then they don't have computer, graphics back then, and all
No.
that. Yeah, uh, the painter falls off a billboard into paint. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, this
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. Let's see. Yeah, Minka was later appeared again in Go Green Man TV show with new sued and originally going to return in Heisei Godzilla series, but replaced with Godzilla Jr.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say yeah, Minka. I think he means Mila or Minya.
Yeah, Minya, right?
Yeah, I sometimes I couldn't choose of what to say of Minya. Like, is it Mila or Minya?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but Ichiro calls him Minya. Yeah, I mean, and he's played by the same guy from you know he's played by the same guy from Son of Godzilla and Destroy All Monsters, and this
Mm-hmm.
was his last time playing Minya in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and also I let's talk about this scene that also cracks me up that when Minya and Ichiro got a plan to get rid of Gabara, that
Yeah.
they when Gabara steps on the rock platinum rock thing, that kind of looks like a uh, it's I forgot what it's called. I mean,
I don't know. I
But
don't know.
anyway, he just Minya just fells and grows, and he just kind of flips Gabriel high in the air, and he's just
Yeah.
yeah, and he's just. But that scene when Gabriel is like spinning, and the camera just turns, and kind of like a cartoon moment. I don't know how they do that. I think they just yeah, I think they just shot that scene and just held the camera still, and they just made the camera spin around, or
Mhm.
or something. They made the screen to go around, but who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a funny scene, and also think that uh, like it, and some say that when Godzilla was cheering for Minya, and then Gabra just bites Godzilla. I mean, I think they say that this scene was kind of a mistake because I think Gabra was supposed to bite Minya instead, but they said they have Gabra bite Godzilla.
Oh.
I think that's what they say.
Hmm.
Yeah, and and you know, oh wow, it's been 30, 36 minutes already, and we're probably gonna stop this video in a probably like a few minutes because we want to make this podcast episode short because
Yeah.
we all know some people say it is the worst Godzilla film ever made.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, before we go, I mean, I know some say this is the worst film ever made. I mean, like to me, it doesn't look as bad. I mean, they could have done a better job of it. I mean, I know that the plot scene doesn't make some the plot doesn't make any sense for some scenes, and for the Monster Island, and they use stock footage from the previous films because the money budget. So yeah, I mean, I like I watched this film so many times when I was a kid, and when I watched it, always took me back to my childhood. That I used to watch it so many times on the old earlier classic media DVD release. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I used to watch the English dub a lot growing up, but when I finally watched the Japanese version, like I finally got to watch it as when I was adult and as of now today. I mean, I remember watching it for the first time in Japanese. Like, I mean, it is, and it's okay. Yeah, the Japanese is not as bad as the English dub. I mean, we all know the English dub is a terrible dubbing. I mean, so yeah, I think well, oh yeah, Minya does sounds like Barney in the English dub.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. It really does. To
Yeah,
be honest, it does. You can tell.
yeah, Minya does kind of sound like Barney in the English dub. Yeah, I mean, oh, and I also forgot to mention when Minya, like, first of all, when after Ichiro runs away from Gabara, I mean, when he finally meets Minya again, I mean, I I found this really weird scene. I mean, what is Minya holding? Is it like holding some fruit or some peaches or oranges before he, you know, like before he draws and say hello to Ichio again?
Hmm.
I found this scene really weird. I mean, I don't know if because well, we all know in the Son of Godzilla after Senko uh, we all well first we all know that Minya I think Minya does eat fruit in Son of Godzilla, you know, with Seiko or Reiko or Froza feeds him with a big fruit looking
Yeah.
yeah and yeah I mean but in Almas's tag he just ate some slices of fruit
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, and I think that it could be Little Rock that Minya hold. I don't think it was a rock. I mean, the fruit kind of looks orangey or yellowish looking. Yeah, but who knows? I mean,
Yeah, who knows really?
yeah, and it's well. Is there any more thoughts that you about this film, honey?
Okay, there's like one fact about those yellow hats that the kids wear and stuff and what it
Oh,
means.
oh yeah, the yellow hat that Ichiro always wears. Yeah,
Yes.
they actually wear those back then because of avoiding traffic accidents.
Hmm.
Yeah, way back then, and I don't think I don't think they still do those today, or
I have no idea.
well, who knows? I mean, yeah. So anyway, that's I think that's all we have left to say about this film, and is mm, and is only 41 minutes, and that's okay because we only made this episode short, and so so to me, I like this film. I mean, I know it is a bad film. I mean, to me, it's an okay film. I mean, I still like the English dub version of this. I mean, I would give this film probably 7.5 out of 10. So, baby, and how you give this film how do you give this film which number?
Probably 6.5.
Yeah, I mean, and and like you said, this is one of your favorite Godzilla films, and
Yeah, I give 6.5 because they could have just done way better some scenes, like way newer scenes, not some like the same thing over and over again and all of that.
yeah, yeah, they could have done a better job. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's and also I forgot to mention the special effects the special effects director H. Superaya didn't do this one, like because he don't want to because he was because like what like what Nick said. I mean, and and is like, he only did the special effects for Destroy All Monsters, and that was his last Godzilla film he ever
Mhm.
did. So, so, so that's all the time we have left. So until next time, next up is Godzilla versus Hedorah from 1971. And always, and so until next time, sayonara.
All right.